Attention passionate Seattle, SEAHAWKS fans. Latest news, something big is happening in the NFC West and it could change the game. We're talking about a direct impact on Seattle Seahawks' path to another Super Bowl run, a power shift that could leave a division rival stumbling for years. We're bringing this to you firsthand. But before that, if you're a true Seattle Seahawks fan, subscribe to the channel to strengthen this passion even more. Show that you're also part of this family. Let's help each other reach 1,000 subscribers. Share with your FRINDS and Seattle, SEAHAWKS fans. Let's get to the news now, guys. This is one of those stories that just makes you sit up and say, wow, things are heating up in the NFC West. And it's not just because of the games on the field. No, this is about a blockbuster trade that could redefine the Seahawks' defensive future and maybe even tilt the entire division. Rumors have been swirling, whispers turning into reports, and what's emerging is that the Seahawks are making a serious push to bolster their secondary, and they're doing it by acquiring Jalen Johnson, the all-pro cornerback from the Chicago Bears. This isn't just a minor move. It's a statement, a signal that Seattle is all in for a deep playoff run and wants to solidify their defensive backfield after some tough injuries this season. Let's back up a little and talk about the context here. The Seahawks, as many of you know, are sitting at a 3-2 record. A decent start that hints at potential, but they've been battered by injuries in the secondary. Devin Witherspoon, their promising rookie, has been dealing with knee and hamstring issues, and his status for Week 6 is doubtful. Rick Woolen, who's been an absolute lockdown corner, is also questionable due to a concussion. Julian Love has been battling hamstring problems too, so the Seahawks were in a pinch. That's why this move for Johnson, a proven shutdown maestro, makes so much sense. They need someone who can step in immediately and lock down opposing receivers, especially considering the division's pass-heavy offenses. And Johnson isn't just any corner. He's a second-round pick from 2020, but he's developed into one of the elite man coverage corners in the league. His numbers in 2025 are eye-popping: 5 interceptions, 14 pass defenses, and a PFF coverage grade of 92.8. For those who track advanced stats, that's almost unheard of at this stage of the season. He's allowed only 38% completion on targets, with just 4 yards per attempt, and he's been a tackling machine with 30 stops and 5 forced fumbles. His ability to blanket receivers is what makes him a perfect fit for Seattle's zone man scheme, especially now that they need that lockdown presence to help cover the aerial yards that have been hemorrhaging this season. Currently, the Seahawks are surrendering roughly 262 passing yards per game, ranking 28th in the league, which is simply unacceptable for a team aiming for the playoffs and beyond. Now, why would the Bears trade Johnson? Well, Chicago is in a bit of a rebuild mode, folks. With a 1-4 record and a cap situation around $12 million, they're looking to clear space and retool. They are also trying to maximize assets after a rough start, especially after some underwhelming performances from Caleb Williams, the highly touted quarterback they hoped would turn things around. The Bears are gathering picks and young players to build for the future, and trading Johnson, who is a free agent after the season, makes sense for them, especially since they're negotiating extensions with guys like DJ Moore and Montez Sweat, which will eat up cap space. So, moving Johnson for a third-round pick in 2026 and a reserve linebacker like Boy Mafe is a strategic move. They get cap relief, draft capital, and a young linebacker who can develop behind their current core. What makes this trade even more intriguing is the deadline pressure. April 4th is approaching fast, and both teams are feeling the urgency. The Seahawks, with roughly $25.30 million in cap space, are in a prime position to make aggressive moves, and adding Johnson fits perfectly with their current roster strategy. They've been playing at a competitive level, but the secondary injuries have exposed some vulnerabilities. Adding Johnson, a player capable of shutting down top receivers like Deebo Samuel or even the Rams' dangerous pass catchers, could elevate their defense from decent to elite. The numbers speak for themselves. If you look at Johnson's career stats, he's allowed only about 0.7 touchdowns per season, with an impressive 82% success rate in press coverage, and a tackling success rate of 86%. His versatility means he can play both outside and in the slot, which is a huge boost for Seattle's defensive schemes. Pairing Johnson with Tariq Woolen, who's been recovering from injury, creates a formidable island duo. This kind of pairing can take away a significant chunk of the passing game's effectiveness. Imagine a Seahawks defense that ranks around 22nd now, but with Johnson and Woolen together, could easily vault into the top half of the league. The impact on their overall EPA, expected points added, could be a plus 0.25 boost per play, making their pass defense much more reliable and reducing the number of big plays allowed. That, in turn, helps the Seahawks control games better, giving Geno Smith more opportunities to operate with confidence, knowing his secondary can hold its own. And speaking of Geno, the Seahawks quarterback has been decent this season, completing about 69% of his passes for around 7-8 yards per attempt. But turnovers have been an issue. He's thrown 3 interceptions so far, and improving that aspect could be the key to unlocking their true offensive potential. With the defense tightening up, especially on third downs, Geno can be more aggressive, knowing he has a lockdown corner like Johnson to rely on. This symbiosis could lead to more sustained drives, higher scoring, and ultimately, more wins. The Seahawks are also looking at their run game, currently ranked 18th with about 116 rushing yards per game, which benefits from better pass protection and less pressure on their offensive line, especially after some injuries to their linebackers. Now, looking at the bigger picture, this move signals that Seattle is serious about contending now. They're not just building for the future, they're building for right now. The defense, which has historically been a strength for the franchise, especially during the Legion of Boom era, is being reassembled piece by piece. Think about it. This kind of trade echoes the past where they acquired players like Richard Sherman or Earl Thomas to cement the secondary. Johnson's addition could be that kind of game changer, a guy who elevates everyone around him and brings that winning mentality back to the team. On the other side, the Bears are focused on their rebuild. They're accumulating assets, trying to develop young talent like Tyreek Stevenson, who's been solid with an 82 PFF grade. They're trying to rebuild their defense and offense, but it's clear they're still a work in progress. Their defense is currently ranked 29th, allowing around 30 points per game, which isn't sustainable if they want to turn things around. The cap space and draft picks they're collecting will hopefully help them accelerate their rebuild, but right now, it's a tough road ahead. Getting back to the Seahawks, this trade could have ripple effects beyond just this season. If Johnson performs as expected, Seattle's Super Bowl odds could skyrocket. Early betting lines show their odds jumping from plus 7,500 to plus 3,500, making them much more serious contenders. In the playoffs, coverage is king. Just look at recent examples like the Chiefs in 2024, where elite cornerback play swung close games in their favor. Johnson's ability to neutralize top receivers like Deebo Samuel, who's been prolific this year with 146 yards per game, is exactly what Seattle needs to make a deep postseason push. And don't forget the NFC West implications. The 49ers are currently leading the division with a 4-1 record, but if Seattle's defense becomes a top-tier unit, they could challenge that dominance. The Seahawks have historically been a team that thrives on strong defense, and this move feels like a throwback to those glory days. It's about transforming a good team into a great one, a team that can compete with anyone, anywhere in the playoffs. Plus, with the Super Bowl odds improving so significantly, it's clear that the NFL landscape is shifting, and Seattle is positioning itself to be at the forefront. In terms of historical comparisons, this move reminds us a lot of how the franchise built around Sherman and others back in 2011, creating a formidable defensive unit that carried them to the Super Bowl. The current Seahawks roster, with Geno Smith leading the offense and a reinvigorated defense, could be on the brink of a similar resurgence. If Johnson can replicate his elite coverage performance in Seattle, fans can start dreaming about more than just playoff appearances. They could be talking about a real Super Bowl run. But of course, nothing is guaranteed in the NFL. Injuries, turnovers, and unexpected slumps can still happen. Yet the mindset is clear: Seattle is all in. They see the potential, they believe in their talent, and they're making bold moves to seize the moment. This trade isn't just about one player, it's about signaling to the entire league that the Seahawks are ready to compete at the highest level, and they're willing to do whatever it takes to get there. It's a fascinating storyline unfolding right before our eyes, and as Seahawks fans, you should be excited. The team is reshaping its identity, and with players like Jalen Johnson now in the fold, the future looks even brighter. So, as we watch the rest of the season unfold, keep an eye on how Johnson adapts to his new team, how the secondary gels, and how this move influences their playoff chances. The NFC West is about to get a lot more interesting, and the Seahawks are right at the center of it. This trade could be the catalyzing moment that transforms them from a solid team into a true powerhouse, capable of challenging for Super Bowl LXI and beyond. Things are shaping up for an exciting ride, and as always, we'll be here to cover every twist and turn along the way. Pause here just for a second. If you want the YouTube algorithm to keep recommending the latest Seattle Seahawks news to you, it's super important that you leave a like on this video. Go ahead, it's quick and it makes a big difference. Thank you. Now let us continue with the big reveal. And now, Seattle Seahawks fans, I want to hear from you. What's your take on this move? Are you excited about Johnson joining the squad? Do you think it's enough to push the Seahawks into the Super Bowl conversation? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Your opinion matters so much to us and to the Seahawks. And don't forget, I'll be back soon with more updates, so stay tuned for the latest Seattle Seahawks news. This is a turning point, folks, and the excitement is just beginning.